morning starts, make sure to look around for the right company to serve you everything you need to know about what's happening around you. That's why you need VOP this morning, because we will climb this far to give you a voice in what's going on, from news, reviews, politics and the economy, sports and even entertainment. Join us weekdays 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Well, the PDP's presidential candidate in this year's general election, Atiku Abubakar, in his quest to overturn President Bola Tinubu's election victory, has asked the Supreme Court for permission to file some Chicago State University documents concerning Tinubu as fresh evidence to support his appeal, challenging the outcome of the disputed 25 February poll. Now, Atiku, the former vice president, through his team of lawyers led by Chris Uche, filed the application on October 5, urging the Supreme Court, I beg your pardon, to grant him leave to produce for the court fresh and additional evidence, and also for the courts to receive these evidence, now including a deposition on oath of an official of the Chicago State University concerning Tinubu's academic records. Atiku had questioned the authenticity of President Tinubu's CSU certificate submitted to the electoral body, INEC, as a candidate for the 2023 presidential election, alleging forgery of the said certificate. Atiku argued that Tinubu was not qualified to contest the election. Oh well, joining us to make sense of it all, virtually, we have Chukwuma Okoro, John Akirile, who are both public affairs commentator, and also another public affairs commentator and a journalist, Charles Ideho, joins us as well. Well, I must say, good morning to you, gentlemen. I'm going to start with Chukwuma very quickly. Now, this is where we are now. Atiku, talking to the Supreme Court, say, look, allow me present this so, I can put this forward. How do you see this playing out?
Good morning, Charles. Good morning, Charles. Good morning, John, Moses, and Joy. Happy to be here once again. The whole Tinubu Gate, or the Chicago saga, as we might describe it variously, is getting more interesting because there are new revelations. And based on those revelations, some people, like some of us, are considering probably taking a law degree after now, to expand our knowledge base about the law and the politics. Before now, I personally had asked about the evidential value or the judicial value of what Atiku Abubakar was doing. But now it is very clear. It is very clear that there is a provision that can accommodate the information he has to further pursue his case, even at the level of the Supreme Court. Order 2, Rule 12, 723, whatever, of the Supreme Court makes it explicitly clear that the Supreme Court can allow fresh evidence, not on appeal, fresh evidence to pursue a case that had been dealt with at the appeal court. Interestingly, the Supreme Court on its own had also used this in the Hope Uzodimma case. Incidentally, it was Wole Olanipekun, who is Tinubu's lead counsel, that used that provision in the Supreme Court. So it's playing out very well. Nigerians were saying, or had earlier said, all eyes on judiciary. They had not even seen the reason to create that mantra. It is now that all eyes should actually be on the judiciary. Because even the APC people and people that defended the president all along were dismissive of the fact that Atiku, according to them, just embarked on a fishing expedition. But it is clear to everybody now that it wasn't a fishing expedition. The Supreme Court should admit the evidence before it now, as has already been filed by the Atiku legal team. Incidentally, our president we have now come to realize what he meant when he said that CSU releasing his documents is going to cause irreparable damage to his personality. It has come to the public view now. Before now, people were, there are so many interpretations. Like I said, facts are coming out. It is possible from what we understand now that attendance and graduation are two different things, because we now know that he attended and probably didn't graduate because he was owing some elementary courses, some qualification courses, some courses that would have qualified him for admission. And because he didn't remedy those courses, probably he didn't graduate. And it is most likely that's why they didn't issue a certificate to him. All these have been gathered. And the Atiku team is presenting, and they've already filed their case before the Supreme Court. So it is now up to the Supreme Court to evaluate the document before it. And it will do us a lot of good if the Supreme Court admits those documents as evidence in pursuant to the determination of the case filed by Atiku Abubakar and the PDP.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Chukwuma. And to you, Charles Ideho, welcome to the show once again. So from the perspective of a legal practitioner, is it like, I would throw this question to you. Now, Tinubu's lawyers, okay, are claiming that, that the certificate was indeed issued in 1979. However, the certificate was said to have been lost during the Abacha era, in the fight for democracy. And so Tinubu had to go back to the school to, ask that another certificate be reissued to him. And it was in the course of that some of these discrepancies occurred, and that's what we have today. And, what do you have to say about that? Charles.
Thank you, but let me clearly say I'm not a lawyer, okay. I'm a journalist.
Oh, journalist, I beg your pardon. I'm sorry about that.
Yes, okay. But that doesn't mean I do not have a modicum level of legal experience, because having been a journalist for over 2 decades, I have been with lawyers. I also anchor shows radio shows where I have lawyers to argue. So that has given me more than a modicum level of legal knowledge. I may not be, but again, but I think in following the line of thought of Chukwuma, but my fear is that the Supreme Court, suppose the Supreme Court doesn't admit all the new evidences that you are having, because what the lawyer told me is that what Atiku did was, after the pronouncement of the lower court, which is the PEPC, that's the presidential election campaign, I'm sorry, what do you call that?
Presidential
PEPC.
Petitions Court, yes.
Election Petition Court, thank you very much.
Court.
So what Atiku went to the appellate court, which is Supreme Court, is to say no, that the decision of the lower court, to overturn the decision of the lower court. So the appeal of Atiku PDP and that of Obi primarily is to overturn the decision of the lower court. So I'm just hearing from Chukwuma now that the new evidences are admissible in the appellate courts, which of course for me, I'm just saying that for the first time. As I said, I'm not a lawyer, I've been a journalist, and I follow some of these things, but I'm hearing that for the first time. But if it happens that such new evidences are admissible in court, I appellate court for that matter, well, that will further deepen the value of this case in everybody is in pursuit of, right? But having said that, as the question about Tinubu losing his original certificate, I also have heard that the CSU said that they do not keep the original transcript of any student. But you also look at it that in 1979, that the internet that we have today, the high-tech IT we have today, wasn't there at that time. So it wasn't possible for anybody to just go back and then you just click a few buttons and then something will come out. Or like now, for instance, I did a course in a US institute in English, advanced English grammar. You know, so I'm allocated a student dashboard where my certificate was issued to me. You know, I had to download it and print it. So each time I want that certificate, I just go over there to my dashboard and print it. But it wasn't so in 1979. So, but I understand they also said that if you record any loss of your transcript, all you need to do is to go to a third party. Now, third party, I'm going to give an analogy of what third party means. For instance, you have electricity companies in Nigeria, like a code distribution and then the IKEDC. So what you need to do is that when you want to recharge you want to buy electricity token, you don't need to necessarily go to a co distribution or a Kenya distribution. All you need to do, you can buy that through either their agents who are accredited, or you buy through also banks that are accredited. So, and that does not validate the value and then the what that the token is all about. The same thing, if you want to buy your airtime, you don't need to necessarily go to MTN, go to Airtel and all these telecoms companies. You can buy through third parties. So that's what I learned from that once you have a loss of a certificate, just as Tinubu reported to have lost, or you go to a third party that have been accredited. But I also learned that when you get the certificate from them, it may not necessarily be the same as the CSU may have given you in the beginning. So those discrepancies may have arisen from all this issue of third party issuing certificate that was lost and all that. So that's what these are the two areas I need to start with.
All right then. All right then. Thank you very, very much, Charles. John, yes. I'm going to quickly come to you now, John. Isn't this confusing? The way the Nigerian understands the laws, the way the Nigerian interprets the laws, even the lawyers are a bit not on the same side here. First, we heard that the Supreme Court cannot admit new evidence, and then we are discovering that, yes, it can. Can't the laws be made plain and easily understandable?
Thank you, Moses. Good morning to Mr. Chukwuma and Mr. Charles over there, and also to Joy. So this is it. You know, there's a term that they do use in the judiciary section here in Nigeria, and they always put all of them into technicalities. So this is it. In a case where you don't even have proper interpretation of a law, there will be too many speculations out there for people, and people can stand on which of the divide that supports their own stand of the argument. Now, to the case that is on ground now, all of us went to a university. If my certificate is missing now, all I need to do is to talk to my university that my certificate is missing or it was destroyed, and I need another copy. Okay? It's my school that can issue me another certificate. Now, if a school is saying to you that they did not issue the certificate, the question is, come out and tell us where you got the certificate from. Even if it's from a third party, these third party are not ghosts. Probably it's a company somewhere, they have a name. All right? And these are things that should not even take us up to 24 hours to be settled. Moses, which university do you attend? I attended Obafemi University. Simple. Who were your colleagues while you were in school? You can call people. When you serve, who are your colleagues? You call them. In a case where you are having disparity about your primary education, you are having disparity about secondary education, if you look at this case from the time of Gani Fawayemi, even up to this point, we are having the case of you saying you attended Government College, Ibadan. On the document that was released by CSU, shows that you attended Government College, Lagos. Moses, where is Lagos? Where is Ibadan? Can you now see that it's showing clearly that there are some lies that cannot be lied again. You know, so I think the onus is on the principal person, which is Mr. President, to come out, you know, and apologize to Nigerians and say, okay, Nigerians, I'm sorry that I put you through all this mess. Because I won't lie to you, Moses, this thing has made us a laughing stock on a global stage. I wonder when you go to the G20 summits and you are working among leaders of the world, they just look at you and shake their head that this is somebody that cannot even, you know, simple questions they're asking you that should not even take you more than 2 minutes to get that response. Which school I attend to university, this is my certificate, and it's simple. So how do you now put that government college Ibadan and government college Lagos side by side? How do you explain that?
Okay,
because I'm
now,
waiting
John,
to our learning colleague.
John, please,
as to what he will tell us.
the registrar of CSU did say that Tinubu was admitted and then graduated, all right, according to the records that they have. And the same person they graduated is the same person that is the president of Nigeria. He didn't make that statement. He actually did.
Moses, I want to put it to you and to every Nigerians watching me all over the globe right now, that I know we all know the case of Oluwole, the Oluwole industry. When did the Oluwole industry start? And if you should look at people in that is category and cadre, if you check most of them, you will see that what they are carrying as certificates are invalid certificates that were manufactured by a third party that was not even accredited. Mr. Charles was telling you about a third party. Those third parties were accredited. And when you get, how come is it that when you go and buy airtime or token of electricity from another third party and the thing did not load or did not work on your phone, how come you don't make complaints to them? So in a case where you buy token from somebody else and you can't get the unit of your light, then you can make a complaint. You know,
right.
That shows that there's a linkage between these two people. So in a case where they are saying that this is not from them, why not call out the third party that issued the certificate to you and say, my school is saying that they did not issue this to me. You as the third party, are you accredited? Can you now come out to the public and defend the certificate that was issued to me as a bona fide student of CSU? These are simple and straightforward cases that I think lawyers should not, they don't need to even bamboozle any one of us about it.
All right, thank you so much, John. Now to you, Chukwuma. There is this perception or, a claim by Tinubu's lawyers stating that that this particular issue of certificate has been dealt with in the past, over, say, about 40 years ago or thereabout. It has been dealt with, it has been legislated upon, it has been concluded, and dismissed from courts in time past. And now bringing it back again is something they refer to as personal ungrantor, between Atiku and Tinubu. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, Joy, I will come to you, but let me clear one thing with my co-panelist, Charles. Charles, the courts have rules, like as you know. But the Supreme Court also has its special rules, and in this case, it has what they call Order 2. Rule 7, Order 2, Rule 12.
Rule 12.
Section 7, 2, and 3. Right? Incidentally, the power of the Supreme Court to admit fresh evidence is discretionary. That is the dark spot. That is the dark shade on that aspect. The law does not compel them to admit. Is discretionary. And that's why I said there is no better time than now to
discretionary
bring up that mantra, all eyes on the judiciary, because this is the appropriate time Nigerians should focus their attention on how the judiciary plays around with this new evidence that is before it. Again, Chicago State University said we never issued a certificate to him. So the point of the certificate being burnt during the Nadeko struggles and whatever is just a spin. They are putting a spin on that issue. University said we never issued a certificate. And that is what brings up the issue again. Did he ever graduate from the university? So if he did, why was he not issued a certificate? Now, Joy, back to what you said. You see, once upon a time here, I described the law as the will of the stronger party. Of course, lawyers from different sides of the divide, the Atiku lawyers and the Tinubu lawyers, they all have to earn their fees. So what do? They have to go back to the basics to spin and to do anything they can to make sure that the case of the opponent is dismissed. What I perceive is that we'll go back to the issue of the Supreme Court playing the role of a just arbiter. If they say that the case has been dispensed with 40 years ago, what do they mean by that? The Atiku lawyers, what do they mean by that? Unfortunately, the people that defended this case, people that were against this case 40 years ago, are the people who are now saying Tinubu never forged any certificate. And you know, whatever goes around comes around. Let's do a histrionics of the whole issue.
Okay.
In 1999, you know Simon Kolawole. Yes. Simon was the editor of This Week magazine. And This Week, incidentally, is owned by Atiku. When This Week unearthed grave information relating to the forgery by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was already governor then, Tinubu ran to Atiku and persuaded him to prevail upon his magazine This Week to stay action. That magazine never published that issue, and that was what led to Simon Kolawole's resignation from This Week. Again, Bayo Ononuga was the editor-in-chief of the news magazine. The news that unearthed went everywhere, went to Toronto, either in person or virtually, to get information that said Salisu Buhari never attended Chicago State University.
No, Toronto we met.
So, sorry, Toronto State University.
Yes.
University of Toronto. But today, Bayo Ononuga is calling out Atiku for going to Chicago. You see how backward we have grown. In the past 24 or so many years thereabout, Festus Keyamo went to court, filed suits against Bola Tinubu, that he forged his certificate, that he was a serial forger, right from the time he went to Senate in 1993 or thereabout. Today, yes. Festus Keyamo is a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria defending Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What do we make out of that? The fabric of our society is being gradually destroyed. And the most unfortunate thing is that we are trying to ethnicize the whole thing to make it look like the other ethnic groups are against Tinubu because he is a Yoruba man. It is not true. We are all Nigerians. He is our president, supposedly. Whatever he does impacts on each and every one of us. I mean, if you go to Indonesia today, your passport doesn't carry the fact that you are Igbo, that you are Yoruba, or that you are Hausa. Your passport carries Nigerian. And those people are unable to distinguish who supported Tinubu or who didn't support him. The whole issue boils down to you are a Nigerian. The earlier we try to de-ethnicize the whole saga, the better for us. Evan Enwerem forged the certificate. Igbos helped in kicking him out. They didn't say this is our son. No. Salisu Buhari did the same thing. Nigerians collectively put hands together, put heads together, put their voices together, and pushed him out of office. It has happened severally. But unfortunately, the Lagos-Ibadan media axis is trying to undo everything that activists, all the gains we made in the past how many years, the Lagos-Ibadan media axis is trying to undo all those gains. And it doesn't serve anybody well. That is one thing we should understand. Please, going forward, that's one thing we should understand.
All right, then.
All right, coming to you, Charles Ideho. The CSU denying that it issued Tinubu any certificate such as this. What do you make of this? I mean, who then, issued this certificate to him? because it has the school stamp, it has the school's, of course it could be forged, but do you think this is some sort of do I say damage control? Because I mean, after releasing the results before and then coming back to say we were not the ones who issued this and all of that, we're not the ones who released this this particular certificate. Do you think that is some sort of damage control? After seeing that this case is becoming more serious than they expected, they're just trying to, to cover up everything and just, to ensure that the school's image, remains good in the face of the public and all of that. Do you think that's what's happening here, or do you think they are for real in that they actually did not issue this certificate to Tinubu?
Thank you, Joy. But before I answer that, what you said earlier, the case in point about the case having been earlier dispensed now up to 40 years, it was when Tinubu got elected as the executive governor of Lagos State in 1999, when this current democracy came to be. It was actually the late Ganifa Emi, specifically on the 7th of October 1999, that went to court to challenge Tinubu's declaration and all that, that he lied on oath, that what he presented were false. And so the thing went to court, went forward and back, and until the assembly, the Lagos State Assembly of that time, which of course it was Mamora. What's his first name now? John. Actually, what's Mamora's first name? I've forgotten.
Olu.
No, Mamora.
Yeah.
No, I forgot his first name.
Well,
so it was Mamora.
Mamora,
that was
the
that was the Speaker of the House at that time. They all came together, and then that was what it was legislated. They said they found him not guilty, and then the Lagos.
All right. Unfortunately, we have a network glitch, and we do hope that we'll be back in time to get Charles's thoughts all in. But in the meantime, if we can continue the conversation.
Moses, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think the network just glitched a bit. Okay, so, but coming to the question about the CSU, what CSU didn't say that they issued him a certificate. I didn't see that in all the deposition. What they said is that a certain name, a man with the certain name, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, indeed had the record. The record showed that he attended the school, but that they do not have this original certificate. That's the case in point. They didn't say they issued him a certificate, but that the man by that name, actually, they have the records of a man by that name, certain man by that name that attended the school. That's why Kunabentumna said he lost his certificate, the original one, and then he now, as required by law in the US, that he had to go through a third party to get the certificate reissued to him, which he now presented to INEC, which of course will find a lot of discrepancies between what the original ought to have been and what he is now carrying all about.
Let me stay with you on this one.
Moses, can you hear me? Charles.
Chukuma, I can hear you.
Charles,
I can hear you.
There's a window there.
Okay.
The window is this. He attended. Did he graduate? And we don't have his original certificate.
Well, the school said he graduated. The school said he graduated in 1979. Yes.
The school said.
The registrar made that statement that he graduated in 1979.
Okay. The school said we do not have his original certificate. What does that mean? Is the school supposed to keep the original certificate?
No, but the school said that they do not keep in their possession. They don't keep in their possession original certificates of any student that have passed out. But that what they said that he indeed attended the school as their records show, but they were silent on the issue of the issuance of certificate, which of course the bone of contention, which now made Tinubu to now go to
that is the window.
This conversation is getting more interesting.
Yes, that the window lawyers and analysts are exploiting to sway the case in their favor. You get the point. There's a mix-up there.
Oh, yes. Okay.
CSU, did you actually issue? They didn't say.
No, they say he attended, but they do not.
He attended.
All right, so here we are now. This is, I don't think we've ever had any case as confusing as this one in the history of the judiciary in Nigeria. Here we are going back and forth, trying to understand the situation behind, the situation that is playing out. But this conversation will obviously continue until we hear the Supreme Court's interpretation of it all. If they admit an evidence, the new what Atiku is bringing forward now, and then issue judgment based on that. We'll wait to see. But let me stay with you a bit on this one, Charles. Chukwuma did say a few things, and I want to pick out from the things that he said. He did point to the fact that some persons that were contesting the president's that were contesting Bola Ahmed's papers at the time are now working with him. What does that say to keeping your friends close and your enemies closer? And also, how would you say that will play out in his favor? Because now we have Keyamo, who was against him initially, saying, look, it takes a great man. I mean, I watched an interview where Keyamo did say it takes a great man to go to the university without having gone to the primary school. It takes a great man. Please help me explain all of this.
Well, Moses, I currently am there. You see, the thing is that I think, just like John said earlier, is painting us in bad light in the international community. And it is going to do a lot of us, it's an ill wind that will blow us no good, because some of us who have the privilege of traveling to other countries as journalists, the way that we're going to
All right, here we go again. It's go ahead.
Network glitch.
But apart from Festus,
right?
Okay, you are back. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So sorry about that. So what I was saying is that, you see, one of the greatest undoing of a journalist is to accept a job given by government, particularly journalists that they have a reputation. Another one is a lawyer. These are some of the undoings that can happen to a man of integrity. Number one, if you want to stand your ground, don't accept such appointment, because once you do that, you are compromised. Not because you want to, because there are certain factors that will guard you. Keyamo, we know him was Keyamo was a fiery lawyer and all that. You saw even Bayo Onanuga made his name as a. They all started from, I think it's Concord, and then they went to Udele Giwa, to Newswatch, and then he now went to the news and all that. These were people I personally, when I was in secondary school, I looked up to, and that's what also shaped my profession as a journalist today. But so what happened is that once you get in there, because there's no way you will not soil yourself, you not soil your hands with, not put your hand in the cooking jar. When you put your hand in the cooking jar, and you want to speak the truth to power, there's a problem. They have your dossier, they have your file. They will now remind you, your great grandfather, what he did, how he impregnated somebody else's wife back in the village. So you won't want all those things to be broken. So once you accept that job, you have become, in fact, a conquered entity. Just like Keyamo is already conquered, because you can't speak against the man. That's exactly, even if you look at even some of my journalist friends. Again, I'm even thinking, because once you get there, the lure of the office is so overwhelming that once you get in there, you cannot speak truth to the power. That's exactly what. That's why Keyamo right now is speaking from the other side, because it's now. If you look at even Labour, why is Labour today suffering? Because Oshomole, that was their Generalissimo, is now with the power that be. So whenever Labour want to go on strike, Oshomole will tell them, don't mind them. This is the they have to counter them, and that's why you find Labour have become. They can back, but they can't buy. It's the same thing. Keyamo can't do anything because he is dining with the devil in a manner of speaking.
All right, Charles, you didn't answer my question though. I asked if this is some sort of damage control by the CSU.
Control, well, so it seems to be, but again, you know that all institutions are also very careful, even in the court, like just like what Tumakoro said earlier, that issue of administering new evidence is discretionary. The CSU may have also used discretionary power to say, let's not do something to their democracy. The man attended, but we are silent on the fact whether we issue that. So I think it may be just damage control, but how it will go, the Supreme Court will tell us all this in days to come. I hope I have answered your question now.
Yes,
all
you
right,
have.
then let me come
Thank
to you, John. John, quickly too. What do you think the potential consequences for both Atiku and Tinubu will be, depending on the outcome of this request by Atiku Abubakar?
Well, the consequences for them, I'm not really bothered about the consequences for both the president and Atiku, but I'm concerned about the consequences and the impact it will have on generations yet unborn. Let me remind you quickly that there's a case of Misoma, who was said to have forged a JAMB score. Not that we are not saying she wrote JAMB. Do you understand, Moses? Misoma wrote JAMB, but she edited and manipulated her JAMB score to have additional gain. The same thing is happening here. Nobody is saying no attend. You attended the school. Moses, if you don't graduate from your school in Nigeria, you won't get a certificate. So even when you now go further down, you will see that there are some things that will be unraveled to you. So the question that Atiku is saying is, you forged this document that was submitted to INEC. That is the clause here. We are not saying you did not attend. You attended. Yes, we know you attended. But the one that you gave was not one that was issued by the school. That is the line. It's very clear and straightforward. You attended the school, but the certificate you presented to INEC was a forged certificate, not the one that was issued by the school. That is the point of contention there. So it's clear, it is straight, it is direct. And in that disposition, CSU have said and they have affirmed that they did not issue that document that was submitted by Bola Ahmed Tinubu to INEC. So the onus is now on our Supreme Court and judiciary to see how they can use their discretionary powers to accept this new evidence, and that can now help us, retract, this save this our country and our nation. And if at the end of the day, if the ball falls to Atiku's side, it's not a win for Atiku. It's just that we are putting back the shape of Nigeria and morality on the right pedestrian that we ought to do. And if Mr. President remains Mr. President, I think Mr. President on his own should give an apology to Nigerians and to Mesoma in particular, who was also dragged online for having edited or forged a JAMB score. So the same case of Mesoma forging a JAMB score, in the same case as alleged to our president, forging a certificate that was not issued by the institution. And which third party that issued that certificate also should be called out.
Right.
And these are ways by which you can do all of these things.
All right, then. Thank you very much, John. We'll have to keep you men for a while as we go into the second part of the show.
Yes, up next on VOP this morning, Nigerians react as President Bola Tinubu's son, Sheyi, flies to Kano to watch polo tournament in presidential jet. Details in a moment.